So, tell me something new that you've recently learned that you didn't know before.
I think it relates to the nature of who we believe ourselves to be, beyond simply the idea of disenfranchising the ego, but more fundamentally, the concept of, frankly, the concept of self-concept and the concept of self-image. It seems to govern our entire lives. And I think that the fundamental realization of who one really is, and more importantly, who one and what one is not, I think is truly at the foundation of living a true life, as opposed to struggling through life.
So, is it any surprise that that's the dialogue that you share in the opening chapter of your new book, which, this question, Kapil, of who am I, kind of seems to govern this whole shift of mindfulness, this whole shift of spiritual thinking. And certainly I know that that's part of the deep thinking that you do about yourself, but I know that you look at it from a different context. How do we begin to answer that question?
It relates to the things that one can no longer accept as all right. There has to be a level of desperation or unbearability, so to speak, with regard to where one is. That really is the only impetus to change direction in whatever facet of life one explores. Once something is no longer okay, then a path away from that is sought. So it really comes down to where someone is with regard to one's level of desperation, of no longer wanting to experience the things that he or she experiences, or the opposite, which is no longer being able to be kept from the things that he or she wants to have or attain.
So is there really an answer to it? Like, in your own journey, have you answered that question for yourself, or is it that constant quest?
I don't really believe in constant quests, because that very quickly turns into a procrastination. And that's exactly the fundament of human beings, is to procrastinate about everything. And so when someone says that I'm going to be a perpetual student and always continue to learn, and it's a constant quest and it's a journey that has no end, that there is way too much license there to never arrive anywhere, which is precisely what the mind happens to want. Because at the end of the day, a human being is a prisoner to his mind. And the ultimate freedom is freedom from the mind and freedom from the self. So it can't be a constant quest. There has to be an end point. And the end point is the very inspiration, the very motivation that gets one moving in the first place.
What's yours?
Total freedom.
And so from when did you know you got there? Because, and it's one
I haven't gotten there. This is still a quest, but it by no means is an infinite quest. There very definitely better be an endpoint, because it simply isn't okay with me to live in any imprisoned sort of way to the nuances and behaviors and machinations of the mind. That simply isn't okay. So no, I haven't gotten there. It's something that is at the center of my life. It's my devotion.
Well, and I know that one of the approaches for all of us to take is to start subtracting everything that isn't supposed to be there. From your
yes and no. Yes and no. What you have just said is a true statement. The truth comes about largely through subtraction, not through addition. That is a true statement. However, the stating it in such a way, you spoke it too easily, Mo. You said it too easily, and when you say it too easily, it immediately will be imbibed as a prescription. So then the people will be told to watch your thoughts and keep subtracting and keep saying, I'm not that, and neti, and there the whole gang of gurus and spiritualists come calling. You can't say it that easily, because you have to be fully cognizant of the fact that the people who are listening to you are not the people themselves, but it is their minds who are listening to you. And when the mind listens to that all you have to do is subtract, keep subtracting, it will then tell its possessor that, or possessee, that, you see, this is what you must do. So go over in the corner and begin to subtract. And that will be its own prison. This is why no one ever gets anywhere. So I understand the spirit of what you said, but there must be extreme care in the way that we speak, because we know that the mind is lurking behind every corner.
So I'm going to come back to that in a second, but let me dive into this first question because you brought it up. Almost invariably, when I recommend your work, and when I say your work, your books, your discourses, your podcasts, all the things that really kind of capture some of the essence of your thinking, the first question that I get is, I think I get what he's talking about, but what does he really mean when he talks about no prescriptions? What do you really mean?
Okay, that's a good question. First, it has to be recognized that if you follow the idea of no prescriptions and you say to yourself that I cannot follow a prescription, that I can't follow because it's a prescription, that I can't follow because it's a prescription, then that in itself becomes a prescription. So it isn't about adopting the idea of no prescriptions. Then that becomes no better than anything else. It comes down to understanding. So it isn't me on some pulpit and you sitting below me and me teaching and preaching to you. We are sitting on the same side of the desk and we are conversing together. So the reason that prescriptions get people into trouble is because a prescription serves only its own end. Nobody can be prescribed his way to success. Nobody can be prescribed all the way to enlightenment. If they could, once again, please don't believe me, look at the evidence. If one could, then the Buddha's writings have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Who has gotten enlightened by reading any of the Four Noble Truths? And there are Zen temples and Buddhist temples all around the world. How many do you see or have heard of getting enlightened by visiting a Zen temple or a Buddhist monastery or sitting and doing meditation for 6 hours a day? So if that were true, then you could very easily be prescribed to enlightenment because the prescriptions all exist in space. Same thing with success. If someone becomes a super successful CEO or investor or an artist or a singer or a professional athlete or whatever, if that could be bottled, then they would just say, well, just do this and do this and do this, and you'll become as great as I am. Well, that's been tried. That's right. It's been tried again and again and again. Well, how many Michael Jordans do you see walking around? How many Tigers do you see walking around? Right? So if that were true, then that would be very easy to replicate. But it isn't true. That's why it isn't there. So we have to look at the evidence, and there's the evidence for the fact that when you are told that this is what you must do, then what will happen is that your mind will focus on the this. It will focus upon the position of your left arm and how good your lotus position is, right? And how straight your back is, and how many times you said the mantra, right? And how much incense did you actually burn, and how many hours did you sit for? And that becomes a new goal. The prescription itself replaces the original goal. And now you become subservient to doing the prescription and making that perfect, as opposed to reaching somewhere. So whenever you give someone a how to get there, they will forever get to the how, but they will never get to the there. And our entire society is based upon, this is the 5-step plan, these are the 3 next steps, these are the 10 ways to become happy. All these things, they not only do they not work, they can't work, because no one can be prescribed his way to anything.
So how do we start to get there? If you had me and 10 others who said, hey, I don't need to tell you how much I appreciate what you do and your level of thinking, but if you get a group of us